Hey guys, it's BiggestAGFanEVer here, back again, and today I am here for another tour of the American Girl Place Chicago. But this time it's going to be different because they remodeled the entire second story of the store, so it looks very different. So they recently held an event at the American Girl Place Chicago where they unveiled their renovations, and I attended the event and I filmed the entire store. However, the downstairs is the same, so unlike usually where we start downstairs, today we're going to be starting upstairs, and I'm going to show you guys all of the new renovations first. And then afterwards we're going to take a look at the downstairs section because I believe they are eventually going to be getting rid of it. That is why, as you can see right off the bat, they have the historical dolls upstairs as well. They do still have everything the same downstairs for now, but they also have all these displays upstairs too. And if you are a major fan of American Girl and you have seen my other tours, you notice that the new renovations look very similar to the American Girl Place New York, which I actually just went to a couple days ago because I was in New York visiting my best friend. So you can expect a tour of the New York store sometime soon as well. So you can see that they have some smaller displays here for Rebecca, Melody, Mariella, Nenea, and Kaya. And then they have two big displays, one for Julie and one for Courtney. But you can tell that they are missing some displays for Addie, Kit, Josefina, and Samantha. It is a little bit sad that the displays are much more condensed when compared to the displays from before, but I guess the collections of these dolls are just not as big as they used to be back in the day. Even though the displays are much smaller, I think that they did a good job of setting up the displays to show off all of the different types of items. And now we get into the big section for Julie. So they have big sections for Julie, Courtney, and then they have a section for Kira in between the two of them. And honestly, I feel like the number one reason why they have these dolls as the big sections is because a lot of the parents that are buying for their daughters grew up in those time periods, so they're kind of feeding off of the nostalgia. So you can tell that they had the basketball hoop thing there for you to play. And then they had this little setup of San Francisco, and they had the old car for Julie that they no longer sell, sadly. And then they had this little setup that was kind of similar to Julie's bedroom. So they had a giant egg chair and then this flower mirror with lights and stuff like that. They also had tons of beads all over the place as well, really bringing in the 70s vibes. Next, they had this really big section for Kira, and it had all of her items, including the new ones that they just released. And they had this big like tent thing, and it was kind of inspired by her camping tent. And I'll show you it in a second. It's behind me when I'm filming this part right now, but it's really big and it has the same type of fabric as her tent did. And they just tried to incorporate a lot of decorations into this area to bring out Kira's collection. Next to Kira's stuff upstairs, they had a little section for all the previous Girl of the Year stuff that they are currently selling. So here is the little section of Joss, and here are all the items that they currently had available left in her collection. And then you can see over here, they have a little section for Blair, and they had this bag still available. And then they still had these items for her as well. And then on the other side, they had Luciana available, and all that was left available for her collection was the doll and her books. And now we're getting into the very big display that they had for Kourtney. So obviously they have all of the items in her collection on display here. They even had the Truly Me doll that was supposed to be Kip from her stories. And they also had some really cool decorations that were 80s themed over here as well, such as all of the TVs, and then they had a big version of Kourtney's bunk bed, and then they had Kourtney's closet where you can mix and match her collection together. They also had the big boombox as well. Something that I found interesting is that they did have Kourtney's jeans on display, even though they no longer sell them. So here are the big TVs that I was talking about, and also the bunk bed is right next to it as well. And then next to the bunk bed, they had the mix and match Kourtney's closet, where you can turn the steering wheels so that way you can match different parts of her outfit together. So now we're getting into the Truly Me section that they have, and they had a pretty big Truly Me section, and they had, I believe, all of the items that they currently sell available on display. So starting off, they had this little pet section, and I believe this was here before they renovated it as well. Then they had some of the new birthday items as well as some other random items on display here as well. And then here is the little Team USA section that they still have from last summer when the Olympics was supposed to happen, but since the Olympics is happening this summer, they have it up on display again where you can buy all of the different items for Team USA. And right behind that, they have the new AG fashion show mix and match line. And they didn't really have the old sports one anywhere on display in the store. They had like a really small section downstairs for it, but they only had a couple of the items still left in store since this new line is out now. And then next to all that, they have some of the new sports outfits that they also came out with recently as well. And then here is the new section displaying all of the Truly Me dolls that they currently have at the store. You notice that there are a couple of familiar faces missing from this, such as Truly Me number 58. She was not even on display in the store, which was really sad. I hope they're not retiring her. There are a bunch of rumors about them retiring her. And honestly, I think it's such a shame since she is such a unique doll. We don't really have many dolls of color to begin with, but we especially don't have many dolls of color with short hair. And then next to all of that, they have the new travel stuff. They had all the world traveler outfits, and then they also had the airplane as well as the pilot and the flight attendant stuff as well. Then next to all that, they had some of the kitchen stuff and the other new items as well. And then here are some of the items that they had available over by the checkout section. They always have a bunch of miscellaneous items around here that you can pick up while you're checking out. And then over in the area that used to be the Create Your Own section, they have another one of the 35th anniversary displays. A lot of the layout has changed upstairs. Where they used to have the Girl of the Year stuff, they now have the historical stuff. And then the Truly Me section was condensed down to make room for the big Julie and Courtney stuff, as well as the Girl of the Year items. And then the Create Your Own section was condensed down into this little tiny area that you just saw. And the doll hospital is also upstairs right next to the Create Your Own section. but I couldn't get any footage of it because there were a bunch of people there for an event thing. And then this section is all brand new as well. They have the Welly Wishers up here, and where the Welly Wishers and the Bitty Babies are used to not exist in the old store. I believe it was storage for all of the items, but they pushed the wall back to make room for the Welly Wishers and the Bitty Babies. And then here is the Bitty Baby section as well. It is connected to the Welly Wisher section, but it did have like its own sort of entrance as well. And then the final part of the upstairs that we're going to take a look at is Avenue AG, and for the most part this section is the same. They still have the doll hair salon and all of the items out there as well, and that is pretty much the same as what it used to look like. The only major difference that was made over here was they did add a bookstore, as I'm going to show you in a second. And where they added the bookstore was just kind of other miscellaneous displays. So I believe when they close the downstairs, this is going to be the only space in the store where you can find all of the books in one spot. It's definitely much smaller than the downstairs section. I am glad that they do have a dedicated section to books anyway. And then here is just another look at the doll hair salon where you can get your doll's hair done or your hair done. And then moving further down into Avenue AG, they have some other miscellaneous things like this ear piercing section, but I believe all of that is going to be moved into the salon section, so I don't know what they're going to do with that space. And then they have the restrooms over here as well. And further down the way, they have Mary Ellen's Sweet Shop, where you can pick up some food and snacks to go, but it was currently closed because it was super early in the morning for this event, so it wasn't open quite yet. And here are all the things that you can get there. And then all the way down, they have the AG Cafe, which was also closed at this time. So now that we took a look at the entire upstairs, we're going to take a quick look at the downstairs. And honestly, the downstairs is my favorite part. Here is a map of the old store. The upstairs map is not quite updated yet. But honestly, like I said, the downstairs is my favorite part of the AG store. It has always been because it's so open and airy, and there's so many cute little displays that honestly, no matter how much time you spend here, you're never going to get to look at every single detail of this store. It is such a shame that they are going to be closing the downstairs section eventually sometime this year. So even though this tour might be outdated by the time you go, I still recommend watching this part of the video because it is so beautiful. Like I said, the downstairs is so big and there is so much detail put into all the little sections of the store. As you can see, I keep on showing this upstairs part. This part is not accessible to people, but there are so many little displays up there that you can just spend so much time looking at when you come here. This is the old bookstore section that I was telling you guys about, and here they have all of the books as well, and they also have all of the historical dolls for sale. I don't know why they still have Felicity there, but they do for some reason. And you can see that they do have some books available down here that are not currently available on their website because they technically don't make them anymore. So I did pick up a couple of those while I was there. And then here is the main front entrance to the store. And since Kira is the new girl of the year, of course they have her collection out here in the front for you guys to take a look at and see. And most of this hasn't changed since I was here last time. They also have a bunch of Courtney's items down here as well, since she is also relatively new too. And then down here they had Courtney's Pac-Man machine, which I didn't get quite a good look at, but I did get a better look at the AG Place New York, and I'm kind of curious to see if they are going to bring that upstairs when they close the downstairs section. So now we're getting into the historical section, and this section is massive. They have all these cool little displays for each of the dolls. So here they have Julie's display, and they have her little egg chair down here. This historical section can be a little bit of a maze because there is a lot of weaving in and out of each little doll section, but each doll has their own designated little spot. So like I said, here we are in Julie's, and they have all of the items in her collection. And then over here you can see they have a big window display for Julie, and these are what the old window displays used to look like at all the stores. And honestly, like I said earlier, I prefer these over the more condensed displays that they had upstairs. And now we are in Melody's little section, and here is Melody's little window display. Like I said, there is so much detail put into these little sections that I feel like you can spend so many hours here just taking a look at these. I have been to the AGP Chicago too many times to count, and I can tell you, honestly, I have not even seen every single little detail in all of these displays because there is just so much detail put in downstairs. So if you have the opportunity to go to the AGP Chicago before they close the downstairs section, I highly recommend it. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to be wondering when they're going to be closing the downstairs section. I asked some of the workers when I was there, and they said that they're waiting for their lease to run out downstairs and then it is going to close. And they said that they weren't quite sure exactly when it is, but they're thinking that it's going to be by the end of the summer. In the middle of all of the displays that we have seen so far, they have a couple of other miscellaneous displays, and then they have another display for the 35th anniversary dolls as well. And can you believe that we have only looked at half of the displays so far? So on the other side of the historical section, they have the other half of the displays. So here is Nenea's display, and once again, I am just amazed at all of the detail. And even though the new upstairs section doesn't have a display for Josefina, they still have a display for her downstairs. And then here's one of the coolest displays that they have. They have all of the historical dolls that they have sold on display, with the exception of the best friends. And if you have a super keen eye, you're probably wondering where they put the display of all the Girl of the Year dolls that they used to have. And I was also wondering the same thing, so I asked the employees, and they said that they didn't have a display up for all the Girl of the Year dolls yet, but they are still working on putting the display up, and it's going to be upstairs. And then here we have the old section for where the doll hospital was, and this entire area is kind of empty now. There's just a couple of random displays, but there isn't really anything to look at over here. They also didn't have the big TV screen on, which was kind of sad. And then over here we have some more miscellaneous items by the checkout area. And then we have the old Bitty Baby section, which, as you can see, has no Bitty Babies in it. They turned this whole Bitty Baby section into a Truly Me section downstairs. I'm not entirely sure why they did this, but I'm guessing that it's just a temporary thing. And then out the back here, we have another Welly Wisher section, and this was here before, and it has not changed at all. And then we also have an entrance/exit out into the mall as well. And then over here is where the escalators and the elevators are to get upstairs. So now, before we end this video, it is time for Mail of the Week. This week we got a really cool letter because it came to me all the way from Canada. This letter is from Peyton, also known as Coco Chicago's AG here on YouTube. If you want to check out her channel, it will be linked in the iCard as well as the description box below. She wrote me this very sweet letter talking about how she got into AGTube, how she loves my channel, and how I was an inspiration for starting her channel. She also sent me this little poster of my channel logo, as well as 3 photos of all of her dolls. So thank you so much, Peyton, for writing to me. I really appreciate it so much, and I hope that you enjoyed this tour of the American Girl Place Chicago. I will definitely be writing back to you really soon. So I guess that is it for this video. For the outro, I'm going to go ahead and show these clips again because they are my favorite of the entire store, and I'm definitely going to miss the whole downstairs section. But if you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave it a like. Also, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell icon so you'll be notified every single time that I upload. And be sure to comment down below what you think of the new renovations of the American Girl Place Chicago. And finally, go ahead and follow me over on my Instagram. It is _BiggestAGFanEVer_. And I guess I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!